Hey, Global Read Aloud readers, it's me again. I'm here to answer yet some more questions about One for the Murphys. So I've got some little notes here. The first one that I've been asked a couple of times is what the phrase "what a clip" means. And there's a phrase that my mom used to use all the time when I was little, and she'd say I was a hot ticket. And when somebody says that you're a hot ticket, it's a compliment, that they like your personality or sense of humor. And the phrase "what a clip" actually means pretty much the same thing, but it's more of an Irish phrase. So I think they use it, in Ireland. They use it a lot in the Boston area, in the Worcester area, which is, outside of Boston, kind of far outside of Boston, but a lot of Irish people live there. So you hear the term around, people who are really in touch with their Irish heritage. They like that term because it comes from Ireland. So what a clip. I was told that I was a clip when I was younger, and so that's actually why I used it in the book. My second question is, why do I say things are wicked cool or wicked awesome? And the term wicked in this case has nothing to do with the Broadway musical Wicked that Tony loves so much. Again, it is a phrase that people in Boston that really like. Like if you're in the Boston area, they're always saying that's wicked cool, and the Red Sox are wicked awesome and things like that. So when I travel around the country, I very rarely hear that in other places. I did hear somebody say it once in Texas, and I turned to her and asked her, where she'd heard that, and she said that she lived in Boston for several years. So it's you hear it right around that area. And the third thing that I wanted to talk about actually is Chapter 30. Which I've gotten questions about why Carly acts the way she does and the push and pull. And one of the other videos that when I was talking about the policeman scene, I'd made reference to Chapter 30. I think by the time you get to this video, this would be the fourth video, you should be through that chapter, which is entitled Saved by the Bell, I believe. And that's when Mrs. McAvoy shows up at the house. And by the way, her name is Mrs. McAvoy because Carly, in her head, would think of her as Mrs. Mustavoid. But I actually took that out because it was, I have to have her a little rude, but I thought that was, anyway, I took that out. So she thinks of her as Mrs. Mustavoid. But what I wanted to say, if you really look at those two chapters, with the policeman and then when Mrs. McAvoy comes back, like Carly's internal struggle is very different. When the policeman comes, she just sort of pushes, she pushes kindness away. She asks Mrs. Murphy to leave the room because she feels like she has to handle that on her own, even though she doesn't know how she's going to handle it. But in this chapter, she realizes that she longs for what the Murphys offer her. She longs for what Mrs. Murphy gives her. And there were things in writing this chapter that surprised me, that like scenes sort of come out of my fingertips. And sometimes I don't even know what I'm going to type, honestly. I could be as surprised about something as you. But this whole part in here about I glance only long enough to see confusion. Carly, are you saying you don't belong here because it's too nice? You asked to leave because we're too good to you? Yeah, maybe that was it. I think it was. I nod. Oh, Carly, how can that be? I hate it. Her eyes widen. You hate it that we're good to you? No. Well, I guess. My voice drops. I hate it that I don't hate it that you're good to me. And when I typed that, I remember stopping and just falling back in my chair and feeling really sad, because that encapsulates, That's sort of the heart of all of her behavior, is that Carly has felt like she doesn't deserve their kindness. And in this chapter, something else is starting to come forward. She's really struggling with, I actually love them. I actually want to stay here. Feeling that, maybe she does deserve it. So it's more example of the push and pull. And as an author, if you're going through a book that's like 200 pages long, I have all these little note cards on every single chapter, and then notes that, show, Carly's sort of internal dialogue and the things that she's saying to herself, making sure that journey, comes in small increments, that it isn't like an epiphany all at once, like, oh, wait a second, So I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but anyway, I think that's a very interesting chapter, and it's one that as the writer broke my heart. It really did, because as I've said in other videos, the kid seems real to me, and the fact that she would say, I hate it, that I don't hate it, that you're good to me. It broke my heart. So anyway, there's a little, I don't think that's a story I've ever told at a school or anything, so that's new. So you guys keep reading and post some questions. The next chapters will be 34 to 42, so I'll be looking for your questions on that. You can ask me questions about the book. You can ask me questions about, my writing process. You can ask me anything you like. So I'm happy to answer them. So you guys take care, and I will talk to you next week. Take care.